So good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, we have here the strategy of an international business. For a while, sir, I just need to minimize the. Sir, can I off my cam? Okay. So, strategy and international business. BA007 Active in Business. Referred by yours, Ashley Joy D. Kagiwa. So, our check under the difference between strategy formulation and strategy implementation. Number two, comprehend the relationships among business, corporate, and international strategy. Number three, know the inputs into a SWOT analysis. Next, know the three business level strategies. Understand the difference in the three dimensions of corporate strategy. Comprehend importance of economies of scale and economies of scope in corporate strategy, know the trade-offs being made in terms of local responsiveness and global efficiency to international strategies. Distinguish among multi-domestic, global, and transnational strategies. And lastly, understand how the local environment can impact a firm's international strategy. So that is our learning objectives for this topic. Okay, what is strategy? Strategy is the central, integrated, externally oriented concept of how a firm will achieve its objectives. Strategy formulation, or simply strategizing, is the process of deciding what to do. And next, we have strategy implementation. Strategy implementation is the process of performing all the activities necessary to do what has been planned. So we have here two types of strategizing, the corporate and business strategy. In corporate strategy, answers the questions, what business or businesses should we be in? How does the parent company add value to the subsidiaries? And how does being in one business help us compete in our other businesses? And in business strategy, answers the question, how should we compete? Okay. So business strategy, it refers to the ways in which a firm plans to achieve its objectives within a particular business. This strategy may focus on such things as how it competes against national or multinational. So when we say business strategy, it is a plans or a step. It achieved the objectives. Strategy is to compete. And strategy is to be, the goal is to be successful. International strategy. Corporate strategy that guides the choice of which markets, including different countries, a firm competes in. It can include importing, international outsourcing, or offshoring. So we have here importing, outsourcing, and offshoring. So in importing, it brings goods or services into a country from abroad for sale. So importing involves the sale of products or services in one country that are sourced in another country. Number two is outsourcing. Outsourcing, the company delegates an entire process to the outsourced vendor. The vendor takes control of the operation and runs the operations as it is fit. So next we have offshoring, the transferring activities of ownership of a complete business process to a different country from the country where the company receiving the services is located. So offshoring, the company takes a function out of its home country and places the function in another country. Generally, they choose this because for a lower cost. Okay. Next, we have the strategizing process. Strategy formulation typically comes from the top managers or owners of an organization, while the responsibility for strategy implementation resides with all organizational members. So, who decide the strategy or the process of strategy? Of course, it came from the owners, top managers, or a head of an organization. So, who implement strategizing process? Organizational members or employees, staff. Next, we have here a figure from M. Carpenter, 2010. In the middle, we can see that strategy planning, strategy planning is, strategy is a planning. When we need to strategize, we must have a mission and vision, SWOT analysis, and lastly, on how we will implement the strategy. So again, strategy is a plan or a planning. We need to, we must strategize by the way of the mission and vision, the SWOT analysis, and the implementation, organizing, leading, and controlling. In SWOT analysis, we have internal, the strengths and weaknesses, and external, the opportunities and threats. Okay. So, in many ways, the mission statement lays out the organization's purpose of being, and the vision statement then says on the basis of the purpose, this is what we want to become. The strategy should flow directly from the vision, since the strategy is intended to achieve the vision and satisfies the organization's mission, along with some form of internal organizational analysis using SWOT or strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. A strategy is formulated into a strategic plan. This plan should allow for the achievement of the mission and vision. Taking SWOT analysis into consideration, the firm's management then determine how they strategy well. So next we have fundamentals of SWOT analysis. So this analysis was developed by Ken Andrews in the early 1970s. The concept of corporate strategy, you can research po. When conducting a SWOT analysis, a firm asks for basic questions about itself and its environment. Number one question, what can we do? Number two, what do we want to do? Number three, what might we do? And number four, what do others expect us to do? Okay. Next, strengths and weakness. Strengths are part of organizational analysis, an audit of a company's internal workings, and weakness, an assessment of what organization does well and what it does less well. So the hardest but most important thing for an organization to do is to develop its competitive advantage into sustainable competitive advantage. That is, using the organization's strength in a way that can be easily duplicated by other firms or made less valuable by changes the external environment. So next is opportunities and threats. Opportunities assess the external attractive factors that represent the reason for a business to exist and prosper. And threats is a factor beyond your control that could place the strategy or even the business itself at risk. In summary, SWOT analysis helps you identify strategic alternatives that address the following question. We have the SO, or strengths and opportunities. The question here is, how can you use your strengths to take advantage of the opportunities? On the ST, or strengths and threats, how can you take advantage of your strengths to avoid real and potential threats? And next we have WO, or weakness and opportunities. How can you use your opportunities to overcome the weaknesses you are experiencing? And number 4, we have WT, or weaknesses and threats. How can you minimize your weakness and avoid threats? Okay. So next we have types of business level strategies. So types of business level strategies are intended to create difference between a firm's position and those of its rivals. To position itself against its rivals, a firm must decide whether to perform activities differently or perform different activities. A firm's business level strategy is a deliberate choice in regard to how it will perform the value chains, primary and support activities in ways that create unique value. So number 1, we have cost leadership strategy. The cost leadership strategy is the firm seeks to make its products or provide its services at the lowest cost possible relative to its competitors while maintaining a quality that is acceptable to consumers, eliminating extra features in their products or services by reducing their marketing costs, by finding local sources of material or labor. So, a cost leadership strategy is they are selling or they are offering service in a lower cost. So, paano nila mapapalower ang cost ng mga binebenta nila or ino-offer nilang service, they also lowering the expenses, reducing the uh, sources or materials they are using. So that is the cost leadership strategy. Next, we have differentiation strategy, creating unique value to the customer through advanced technology, high quality ingredients or components, product features, superior delivery time, many more. So, ang differentiation strategy naman po is different din siya kay cost leadership strategy. When we say differentiation, so iniiba niya yung product, I mean, iniiba niya yung quality or mas nag-aano siya sa quality ng product kaysa sa quantity. So, advanced technology, he they use advanced technology for this. Like example, Starbucks. So, kahit na mahal po yung price nung binebenta nila, they stick on it kasi ang ano nila is the quality. So, that is differentiation strategy. Next, we have integrated cost leadership or differentiation strategy. Firms that can achieve this combination often perform better than companies that pursue either strategy separately. So, this is the combination of differentiation and cost strategy. So, dito sa strategy na to, pinagsama po yung lower cost yet quality product or services. Okay? So next, you have types of corporate strategies. Remember, business strategy is related to questions about how a firm competes. Corporate strategy is related to questions about what business to compete in and how these choices work together as a system. Nonprofits and governments have similar decision-making situations, although the element of competition isn't always present. A firm that is making choices about the scope of its operation has several options. So number 1, we have vertical scope. Vertical scope refers to all the activities from the gathering of raw materials to the sale of the finished product that a business goes through to make a product. Next, we have horizontal scope refers to the number of similar businesses or business activities at the same level of the value chain. Next, we have economies of scale. In microeconomics are the cost advantages that a business obtains to expanding in size, which is one reason why companies grow large in certain industries. Next, we have economies of scope. Similar in concept of economies of scale, whereas economies of scale derive primarily from efficiencies. Gain from marketing and distribution are one reason why some companies market products as a bundle or under a brand family. Geographic scope. By moving into new geographic areas without entirely altering its business model. So next we have types of international business. Multi-domestic strategy. So multi-domestic strategy maximize local responsiveness by giving decentralizing decision-making authority to local business units in each county so that they can create products and services optimized to their local markets. Okay, that is multi-domestic strategy. When we say multi-domestic strategy, uh, it focuses in middle or multi-domestic strategy, such as firm tries to balance the desire for efficiency with the need to adjust to local preferences within various countries. For example, large fast food chains such as McDonald's and KFC rely on the same brand names and the same core menu items around the world. These firms make some concessions to local taste too. Like in France, for example, wine can be purchased at McDonald's. This approach makes sense for McDonald's because wine is a central element of French diets. So, yun po yung may multi-domestic strategy. Next is we have global strategy. Global strategy is centralized and controlled by the home of office and seeks to maximize global efficiency. Under this strategy, products are much more likely to be standardized rather than tailored to local markets. So a global strategy sacrifices responsiveness to local requirements within each of its markets in favor of emphasizing efficiency. This strategy is the complete opposite of multi-domestic strategy. Some minor modifications to products and services may be made in various markets, but a global strategy stresses the need to gain economies of scale by offering essentially the same products or services in the market. So next we have transnational strategy. So combine the best of multi-domestic strategy, a global strategy to get both global efficiency and local responsiveness. So that is transnational strategy, the combination of global and local responsiveness. So the 5 elements of strategy. We have number 1, arenas, the specific geographic market and the channels and value chain activities in those markets. Number 2, differentiators. Differentiates the organization from competitors, makes products or services more attractive to future customers. Vehicles, the preference to use organic investment and growth, alliances or acquisitions as expansion vehicles. Staging and pacing, when you start expanding, how quickly you expand and the sequence of your expansion efforts. Number 5, economic logic, how your international strategy contributes to the overall economic logic of your business and corporate strategies. So this is the 5 elements: arenas, differentiators, vehicles, staging and pacing, and economic logic. So managing international business with planning, organizing, leading, and controlling framework. On a planning, the function of management that involves setting objectives, determining a course of action for achieving these objectives, reference for business, management, and function. So planning is the first steps or for us to have a quality and quantity work or product in international business. So it's important to note that this framework is not without criticism. Specifically, this criticism is stem from this observation. So next we have organizing. Organizing is a management function that develops an organizational structure. Organizing coordinates human resources within the structure to achieve organizational objectives. Next, we have leading. Leading involves influencing and inspiring others to take action. Managers who lead will inspire their employees to be enthusiastic about working to achieve organizational goals and objectives. Next is controlling. Controlling function requires monitoring performance so that it meets the performance standards established by the organization, setting performance standards based on the company's objectives, measuring and comparing actual performance against standards, and taking corrective action when necessary. So this is the planning, organizing, leading, and controlling framework for international business. So we have here the references on my topic. And thank you so much for the time.